Hi, this is Michael J. King. Today I'm going to do a quick demonstration of how to use a chisel to clean up the edge of the lyre once you've hollowed it out. You can use a router, you can use jigs and everything, but this is just showing how you can do it simply with a chisel. So on this Trossingen lyre we've hollowed out, done the first hollowing, and we've done the second hollowing down to the lowest point, ready to scrape and chisel away all these islands. But before we do that, I'm going to use the chisel to clean up the edge of the lyre so that we can get to the shape. Now this is, you have to do this slowly. The way to do it is to do a relief cut underneath, just a tiny little relief cut. And having done the relief cut, we'll do a couple relief cuts. Make sure that's taped down. Okay, so you do a relief cut on the part that sticks out, and then you're going to take off 1 millimeter at a time. You're going to, it's the tiniest amount. You don't want to take off more than that. You don't want the wood to split. And again, you do a little tap to do a relief cut. You tap with the hammer. You can do the same all the way along. Do a little relief cut, chop it out. You can actually, with a really sharp chisel, you can just do this by hand pressing. That's probably better actually. So we do the relief cuts. This is to stop any splits from going too far into the instrument. And then we just chop down vertically. No more than 1 or 2 millimeters at a time. And we go back. Just do a gentle little relief cut at the bottom. Now, depending on the wood, you may need to use a hammer to tap the chisel down. Now, obviously what you're trying to do is to get down to the pencil line, but you can do this in stages. Again, if you cut just a few relief lines in first, then the chopping out is really simple. Just a little bit of a relief cut. So you can also use your knife to score the lines first. Again, the reason for doing this is just to stop any splits from starting in case you hit too much at one time. And that means now we can just go back and pare the wood down to the line. The beauty of this method is that you don't need to get your router out. This can be done quietly any time of night or day. And it uses the simplest of equipment. We're nearly there on this side. I'm just going to just this bit here to go. So the closer we get to this pencil line, which is the edge on the inner edge of the lyre, we're going to slow down, take less wood off. We'll undercut it just slightly. So we're just trying to keep it upright. And this is where having the sharp chisel really helps. Once you've chiseled to the line, you can then go in with sandpaper, or you can use scrapers to finish the edge around the outside. There's some areas here that I'm not going to chisel. I'm actually going to just saw away some of the waste. Just makes life a bit easier. Okay, you can also at this stage cut off the islands from the middle. To do that, you just use the chisel with the bevel down and tap in the direction of the grain. You want to do it very carefully, of course, but so if I was going to use the router, I wouldn't be cutting these islands off. I'd leave them in place to help support the work while using the router to trim the edge. The router is a lot easier to use, in some ways quicker, but you risk breaking off a piece of wood at the edge. And this way, it's quite relaxing after an hour's work to hollow the lyre. Is actually quite a nice sort of way to spend time. Okay, I'm just getting rid of some waste now so we can see what we're doing. You can see here, this is the line we're trying to go for. Just make it a bit darker. the little cuts and take small amounts as possible. That's good. Yeah, I need a gouge for the end, but everything else is straight off the chisel. Okay. Right, so we've used the chisel to chisel to the line all the way around the edge. We've used a smaller diameter chisel on the end to do the end piece here. Now what we haven't done is cut out the chamfered area, but we'll do that later. First of all, what we're going to do now is just flatten this area using a combination of scrapers, hand planes, and then sanding paper. I have this bullnose plane that I use. Narrow one here, which is we can use a scraper as well. Some areas here that are slightly raised, and we can use the chisel also as a scraper. Just trying to get everything level at this point before we move on to the next stage. Trying to remove as little wood as possible. I don't want to pull any grain up. for the arms, it's sometimes easier to use the chisel. At this point, it's also a good idea. What we can do is actually just slightly damp the surface. This raises the grain, and you can see where all the drill bits have been. Okay, now while that's drying, I'm going to cut away the chamfer at this point. Just going to mark out with a pencil. Now this one we can cut using a chisel with the wood clamped that securely down. Okay, I'll use a smaller chisel first. Don't cut away too much at one time. Now this little foot here enables the lyre to allows more soundboard vibration space. And also strengthens the back of the lyre. You can do this with a whittling knife. So I've done one side. This side could be a bit more tricky, but you can come around with a knife. The hammer now to take it just a little bit more off. Okay, we'll leave it there for now. We'll sand this down in a minute anyway. We're going to do this one, but we'll do this one. The end grain here, we're going to use a gouge. Yeah, you can do this with a whittling knife as well. And I'll probably finish with the knife or sandpaper, depending on the grain. The end grain here can sometimes be dense. just using the knife to as I said, you can use the knife to do most of this if the grain is cooperative. Just cleaning it up. You can always just use sandpaper as well for this part. The grain here is quite tricky. We need to go into follow the grain. It can be quite difficult to get it in there. Okay. Now for the parts where you can't reach easily, make up a little sanding block and use that to clear up the edges. This is just a cork block with a piece of sandpaper. Okay, so we've wet the bottom. We can now see where the drill bits have been. That they're now raised, and so what we're going to do, we're going to lower those down. Sometimes it's better to use scrapers, sometimes it's better to sand. We can still see some bits that are raised, so we can use the scraper on those. Okay, so we just carry on with 80 grit to 120 to 180 until we're happy. So we can also use the sander with the dust extraction fitted. Again, 120, 180, 240. So you can do most of the inside with this sort of size of orbital sander, but you'll still have to sand the arms, in which case you can use small, specially sized sanding blocks for the arms, or continue using the scrapers.